So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. Um, and so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
June 2011. The Tower.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game.
Yeah. I can feel the oppression in the atmosphere right now, actually, as I'm moving in this environment. It does feel very oppressive, especially when you combine with the background music.
This room actually has a maze in it. Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the level, so when you're ready to continue, press the Use key on your gamepad, and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
For the interest of time, we will take the hack that Davy's given us. But yes, this is once again, like, keep in mind that Coda would want us to solve this maze on our own without this bridge. This bridge is an artificial construct made by Davy. And you can see, like, it's placeholder assets as well.
And to be fair, it's
not AI-generated placeholder assets, just regular, ordinary, out of bounds looking placeholder assets.
not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end.
So Davy is now telling us, after we finished playing, that we were not supposed to stop cleaning the house. To clean the house was the entire game. But he cut us off. He ended it prematurely. That wasn't Coda that did that. That was Davy that did that.
But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
Fucking over the design, exactly. 100%. The Davy is fucking over the design over and over again.
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
Again, we're not supposed to know what the code is. We're supposed to just, like, end here. The game is fighting us, but Davy does not want us to fight. He wants us to just have the answer. But in the interest of time, I will not pretend that I don't have the code in front of me.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first two challenges, and you got to this point, There's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem.
So, we've cheated through 2 unsolvable puzzles to reach a literal dead end where we're not able to proceed at all.
I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem.
But we had to hack our way through.
So, let me do that.
We have our Davy friend to hack the game so that we don't understand the beauty of it. That we don't get the artist's original interpretation.
Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why.
Man, it must be eating Davy up that Coda does not want to talk to him.
I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time. And as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew. It wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years, I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
He wouldn't tell. Because the work's supposed to stand on its own. You're not supposed to tell your audience what it means. The work's supposed to tell them what it means.
If I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that
to make his work my own.
I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left. And it felt somehow like I had failed.
He had to make someone else's work his own.
Where did I screw up?
Dear Davy, thank you for your interest in my games. I need to ask you not to speak to me anymore.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable.
I wonder at times whether you think I'm making these games for you. You've so infected my personal space.
The people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
You so infected my personal space that it's possible I did begin to plant solutions in my work somewhere, hidden between games. If there was an answer, a meaning, would it make you any happier? Would you stop taking my games and showing them to people against my wishes? Giving them something that is not yours to give? Violating the one boundary that keeps me safe? Would you stop changing my games? Stop adding lampposts to them? The lampposts were never put there by Coda. Davey put them in the entire time.
And then you stopped. And I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing.
Would you simply let them
does
be
that
what
mean?
they are? When I am around you, I feel physically ill. You desperately need something that I cannot give, and I cannot give it to you. I literally do not have it. Struggling to come up with a new idea is not making me depressed. Low points was part of the process. The fact you think I am frustrated or broken says more about you than about me. I realize this doesn't make sense to you just yet. Which is fine. You're not my problem to solve. But I do hope that one day it clicks, and that you make peace with this thing you are wrestling.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
And when you finally see what I am talking about, don't say anything. There is no switch.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
And here we are. The epilogue. That's not a lamppost, it's a clock. It's a train station.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
Oh, I see the door's open. We're on the train.
Solution.
I'm cutting geometry again. Abstract space.
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Even now, The disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
And that is, we are getting ever closer to the end of this game. This game is almost done. We'll have a lot to talk about once this game is over, though. I promise. If you feel like shit, that's the intended reaction.
What would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
It's a hell of a drug, isn't it? That external validation's a hell of a drug. But
what now?
Davey, you gotta stop interrupting me, please. I'm talking here.
I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Yeah. He did a bad thing. Did a bad thing with sharing someone else's games without their consent or permission, and adding stuff to it that wasn't there before, making up interpretations that only exist because he added things to the games. You know, usual plagiarism shit. And let's go mask off for a bit, obviously. It should be pretty clear if like anyone watching this after the fact doesn't realize it yet. This is a work of fiction. Davey is working in his capacity as a voice actor and writer for this game. Coda does not really exist. Coda is a fictional construct that is just purely for the purpose of this narrative. See, because I earlier in the chat we talked about how Coda is like a word that means an ending. But you could also think of it as like a coder. As in like a computer programmer. A coder. A coda. And that it's like... metaphorically, it's like Davey's game designer, like programmer aspect. Versus his like attention-seeking audience whore aspect. Oh hey, it's the death laser again. Ascending to heaven. The Infinite Labyrinth. But yeah, like... this game is a metaphor. And you could say it's a metaphor for a lot of different things. A metaphor for, like... toxic fandom. Which is somewhat ironic, given that this came out in the same... nearly the same week as Undertale. It could be a metaphor for, like, game design and how one's work, once it leaves containment, no longer belongs to the person who developed it or designed it. How once it escapes and becomes published, it is a wholly different thing than it was when it was developed or in development. But really, have a good night, Jacob. I'll put my thoughts out there in the wilds, and then I'll probably hop off myself. But this is the beginner's guide. This is the beginner's guide. Have a good night, though. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. Yes, perhaps when you're less AP, we can talk about this in private. But for the viewing audience who is still here with us, all 5 to 6 of you, this game, its greatest sin is unfortunately coming out within the same window Undertale did. And just getting completely overshadowed by Undertale. But I trying to find a way to put this. I like that this game, without being a horror, without really trying to scare or startle or upset you, does still make you feel like shit. Still makes you feel like a participant in someone else's torture. By arranging the game such that you are playing through these games and later on discovering that they have been irrevocably tampered with. That the author did not want them released. Had no intention of ever releasing them. And was just making these little small projects because he thought they were fun. How it makes you feel that violation. And makes you part of it unwittingly. I like this as a metaphor for how fandom can take a work away from a creator and pervert it or distort it in ways the developer never intended. Undertale is actually, ironically, a very good example where I opened by talking about how much I hate Undertale fans. And part of that is because, while Undertale is a fantastic experience, anyone who has ever streamed Undertale knows how miserable it is to play it or discuss it. Because the moment you do, the audience comes in and starts talking about how wrong you are, how there's only one proper way to play Undertale, and if you play it any other way, you're wrong and stupid and bad, actually. And the backseat gaming will commence. In a way, Davey was backseat gaming me as I was playing it, by the way he constantly modified and skipped sections and levels against my will. So in a way, Davy is the intercessor between myself and Coda. And Coda's game and my thoughts on that game. It's part of why, like, I kept pointing out how he was putting his viewpoint in my mouth before I had a chance to even come up with what I interpret the game as in a lot of the times. It could be a metaphor for fandom. It could also be a metaphor for the publisher. And their relationship with the developer. Where maybe the developer wants just to make a thing because it's funny or fun. But the publisher forces it out, makes changes against that dev team's wishes, and distorts it into something that's wholly different from the original vision of the design. There are several different metaphors that could apply here. Even if you just narrow down to the space of game design, and not the space of all of creative work, like writing, like art. Obviously, AI was not around when this game was developed by Davey. But it could also be a metaphor for Gen AI art and how it takes the inputs from people who are creative and remixes and reshuffles it into something that's basically a plagiarized theft, like adapted plagiarism of the original work that it was stolen. Now, obviously, that last metaphor is one that Davey could not have possibly intended, because this game wasn't developed at a time when Gen AI was, or learning language models were even, like, out there in the wilds. That wouldn't be until COVID dropped 5 years later. But in retrospect, that's a perfectly reasonable metaphor one could take from a work like this. It's that idea of the creator bowing to is not the correct term. Of the creator being unduly influenced and distorted by outside viewpoints and perspectives that have their own interpretations separate from the original creator. Or even just simply the act of, or even simply the creator's idea of, like, not wanting to show everything. That maybe it is best to keep... It comes metaphor for the idea of some parts of a world or universe being deliberately hidden. As a writer, I do this myself. Like, a lot of people ask me, like, how tall is one of my characters, or like how strong are they? What can they do? And I have difficulty answering those questions. Not because I don't have the answers. I like, these are my characters. I do, like, think about this at least casually. But because I don't think those kinds of answers are interesting or useful or helpful or even important. It is separating the forest from the trees. Like, sometimes not putting the answer out there lets you focus on the answers that do matter, that are relevant and are interesting. Like with the final area of the tower, how Davy and Coda are almost fighting the entire time. How Coda has designed this level to be intentionally unsolvable, but Davy continues to brute force it with hacks to get to the end anyway. And Coda putting that message in there, kind of hoping it doesn't get read, because if it gets read, it means that Davy has once again perverted his vision. And once again violated a trust that was there. It's a game I think about this game more often than I probably should, given that it's a decade old and I haven't played this game in over a decade. But it's a game I find intriguing. I think to some extent I'm doing the same thing David is doing in the game, where by the act of playing this for an audience, I am interpreting and perverting his work in a way that fictional Davy in the story of this game was perverting fictional Coda's work. Because these interpretations I'm saying out loud, they're just my viewpoint. I don't know who Davy is. We've never met. And pretending that, like, I do know, that my answer is the absolute answer to what the Beginner's Guide represents, would be foolish to the extreme and a waste of your time and mine. Because I think with all of fictional work, that interpretation between the viewer and the artist is so important. That art and games and writing and all of that good creative stuff, the way that the creative and the audience talk to each other through the work is so important. And Davy interceding in that to give his own interpretation that he is passing off as the definitive interpretation is like one of the ultimate crimes. Like you should not do that to someone else's work. So I can't pretend, like, similarly I can't sit here and say that my interpretation of Davy's work here is absolute. It's not. It's just my own opinion. I'm just talking. But I hope presenting this at least gives you, the viewer, watching this now, food for thought. And if you have not bought this game or played this game, do so. It's on Steam. It got hopelessly overshadowed by Undertale, but is a very, very fascinating creative work that deserves recognition for what it was. It just, didn't. People, like, most people I talk to don't even know this game ever existed. That is a shame. But now I am repeating fictional Davy's crimes for a live studio audience, and perhaps I shouldn't be doing that. So instead, I will leave you. I am Brandon Carey. Have a fantastic day. And next time, with luck, you will go back to Mafia 3. Have a great evening, y'all. Take care, and bye for now.